All right, as we promised, we're back with the second episode this week. I got Glenn Pendlay with me.
Hello?
So, Glenn, I haven't had you on since the World Championships. Things have been a little crazy.
It seems like that was months ago.
Months ago. Been in a little bit of a coma. Tired of all this traveling.
Yeah. I think I wasn't the only one that got a little sick at Worlds. I've kind of been vegetating since then, getting as much rest as I can. But it's all good. It's all good, though.
It's all good in the hood. So yeah, since we haven't had you on here since after Worlds, I mean, what was your experience like? Did you see anything interesting?
Well, I mean, first off, it seems like I was in Poland for 3 weeks, even though it was only like a week and a half. But no, it wasn't really anything earth-shattering or anything. There was a lot of good lifters, a lot of good lifting. The food got monotonous. I did discover that there were some pizza places near our motel towards the last couple of days. That saved me. I might have not made it back if it wasn't for that. But one thing that, this always occurs to me when I go to international meet or anything, but sometimes when you see people do really extraordinary lifting, like Tatiana, the 190 clean and jerk, it's amazing how those people just look normal.
Yeah.
I mean, she was in the dining hall, not every single day with us, but frequently I saw her eating on like the table next to us and everything. She doesn't look like she's going to pop off a 190 clean and jerk.
No, I said the same thing. When you see some of the lifters in pictures, specifically Lou, Xiaojun, and Apti, they look bigger than they are because when you take pictures and they're in the training hall shirtless, in certain lighting, they look friggin' ripped and huge.
They're not
but then
big, though.
Yeah, when you stand next to him, you're like, this guy's not really that big. I mean, Lou specifically, I mean, he's jacked. I mean, he's super cut, super lean, but he's not a big person. You can only be 77 kilos and be a 77 kilo weightlifter. So,
yeah, in a t-shirt and, jeans or something, he does not look like a big guy at all.
No,
you'd never know he was a lifter.
Maybe slightly bigger arms and legs than James, but I mean, James and him about the same size, and it's just kind of crazy because in my head, I guess I just kind of was thinking that he was like much bigger, but obviously you can only be so big and make weight. And Apti, he's not that thick. I guess he's moving up is the rumor, but I mean, how does anybody here know that? I don't know how people hear about that, but yeah, that's the rumor.
He doesn't look like somebody that's fighting to be an 85.
No.
I mean, he's a smallish guy.
Yeah.
Stronger than shit. He's a smallish guy.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously lean, but, and he's maybe like 5'7", at the most 5'8", but I mean, I was wearing smaller shoes than him, and we took a picture together, and he was only 2 inches taller than me, when I was wearing sandals, so I don't know. That is a pretty cool and interesting observation that I had as well.
Yeah, that carries all the way over into the super heavyweight. The Iranian super heavy guy. Had I just had to pick people out of a lineup, that is not the guy I would have expected to clean 261 and miss the jerk.
Yeah, that guy's way smaller than Tom. Like, that guy's 5'8", 5'9" at the most.
And not huge.
No, he doesn't even look that big. I was standing next to him. He was in his sweats on the bus ride to the airport. And, yeah, we were standing next to each other, and I was very surprised that, like, he's not that big. I didn't realize it was him at first.
Yeah.
The Russian, on the other hand, that's a monstrous dude. So there's no way around that.
No, I think on the flight from Poland to back to Germany, that Iranian super was a couple seats in front of me and to the left, and I really actually had to look at him for quite a while to convince myself that was indeed the guy that just cleaned 261.
Yeah.
Because you would not have guessed it.
Now, Salimi's pretty big. I've seen him in person a few times. He's pretty tall and
he's like 6'4".
Yeah, that's a big guy. Now, this guy, definitely was not even close to 6 foot. And
No.
So, but still doing some big numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I always notice that, probably more this trip than most trips, but I always notice that when you're around international lifters that are really doing some spectacular numbers that you can't tell by looking. You can't tell by looking.
Mm-mm. Yeah, and I think that even goes with national meets sometimes. Like, sometimes people are unsuspecting, and some people maybe don't look like they're going to be the strongest, and then they end up being the strongest. So you never know.
Absolutely.
So I guess one of the things that has been coming up is Klokov had like a little interview, and I found some of the things interesting. It was that they asked him why he did heavy stiff leg deadlifts, and he said basically, no matter how bad you don't want it to happen, your technique will eventually break down at heavy weights. And you want to be strong in those random positions that you may get to when your technique breaks down, so that you can still make attempts when you're not in the perfect position. Interesting outlook, different than a lot of people.
What's interesting about that is the same explanation that Louis Simmons uses for some of the exercises that Westside Barbell does.
Mm-hmm. For powerlifting, or his argument for weightlifting?
No, for powerlifting. Is that, they have some exercise they do for the bench press that kind of purposefully put you out of the groove, and the same thing for the squat and deadlift. And the explanation is that, you're not always going to perform the perfect lift, and if you get pushed forward just a little bit or something like that, you want to know what it feels like and still be strong there so you don't automatically miss.
Yeah, I think you're not always going to have perfect technique, and in a competition you only have 3 attempts. So at least with your opener, you need to have a little bit of leeway. Maybe you got to have great technique to make your 3rd attempt, but if you get strong in a variety of positions, at least you have some room for error on your opener. That's interesting perspective.
Well, I think it leads you to, or that kind of thinking will lead you to do a little more variety in your assistance exercises. I can see that being useful. Definitely.
I do think, I don't do like heavy stiff-legged deadlifts, but I did do them kind of as like a prehab for a little bit. And I think it's kind of a weakness of mine, and we have been doing some more pulls in training recently. I'm sure we'll cut those out the 2 weeks before the meet, but I think it's good. We've been doing what kind of pulls on Monday? They're kind of like slow eccentric.
Yeah, it's something that I like to do when we do pulls is at least one day a week. We lower the bar slowly. I think that's useful.
Yeah, I'm actually not very good at that, and with some of the guys on the team, specifically James for his body weight, he's really good. He's got a great pull, and his squat's coming along, but his squat is definitely weaker than his pull.
Yeah.
And for me, I think I just haven't done as many pulls in my life. He was a good deadlifter. That was like his main lift that he was pretty good at in the powerlifting, so he just seems to be able to hold better positions with the eccentric movements, and I haven't done a lot of work in the deadlift or pulling with eccentrics in it.
Yeah, James can hold position on the pull, on the concentric part of it too. He did 230 for a set of 3, I think, or 5.
Oh, yeah.
On the clean pull. His back's as straight as can be. His shoulders don't drop. He's straight and in good position on the way up and on the way down. And so, that's definitely a strength of his. Absolutely. It's a strength of his. I think probably the worst person on the team at doing that is Trevor. He
really
has a real trouble keeping his back tight, with anything heavy. So it's probably something he needs to work on more. But
yeah, that's surprising because he has like crazy high pull.
Yeah, he can pull it fast. There's no doubt, and he can pull high when he does high pulls. But just keeping the basic tightness and everything is kind of a weakness for him. And you wouldn't know it either. He's got very thick back muscles. You wouldn't think that's a weakness, but but it seems to be.
So another kind of funny thing that he said in the interview was that they said, "Do you do cardio?" And he said, "Yes, I squat for sets of 10 sometimes."
That seems to be cardio for me. Squats of 10 or sets of 10, if they're heavy enough, they're really tough.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sets of 10 will get me breathing hard for sure, and specifically the squat and the deadlift when I rarely do that. Those will kill you.
You can't breathe very good when you're pulling off the floor,
No,
so if
because you're trying to like hold your breath. And squatting, you can breathe a little better, but anything else from Worlds that you saw? We kind of went away from that before I let you finish, I guess. But
there really wasn't. I mean, there wasn't any single thing that I thought that I didn't see anything in the training halls or anything that I thought, wow, that's revolutionary or that's really different. All the teams that we saw training were doing pretty normal stuff. There wasn't anything really out of what I consider the norm. Saw all the same exercises you always see. Nothing crazy as far as weight. It is, amazing. A lot of the better lifters, particularly at this Worlds, I can't, it's hard for me to think of specific names, but people make their lifts. I don't know. The people that are winning are making 5 or 6 attempts. And I don't know if there's anything, magical to do besides just more practice and more practice and more practice, to go from a 2 for 6 or 3 for 6 person to a 5 or 6 for 6. But I will tell you that is a difficult thing and admirable, definitely. You see, got somebody going out there and lifting, top 10 in the world lifts, the German lifters in particular. Germany had 3 or 4 lifters in the same session as us. Mm-hmm. And they, by and large, they were at the top of the session, either winning it or definitely in the top couple. And they were 5 for 6, 6 for 6 lifters, all of them. And not lifting light, but definitely limit weights and making attempts. There isn't any secret to that I know of, besides just being really good and very consistent. But they definitely do a good job of it.
Now, one thing that I did observe from the warm-up room, and I talked with James about this on an episode we did previous, but I saw a lot of people doing more variations in the recent past than I saw like maybe 5-6 years ago. So it seemed like there was like more of a Bulgarian influence before because, I don't know, that was just kind of the thing. People were copying the Bulgarians. They were only doing lifts leading up to the competition. I saw a lot of power snatches, a lot of hang, like snatch from the floor, snatch from the hang.
Are you talking about the training?
Training hall. Yeah, like the 5 to 7 days leading up to the competition. I saw more variation, whereas like maybe 5-6 years ago, if I went to an international competition, I would only see snatch clean jerk. This time I saw more variation. Do you think like there's more of an Asian influence in international weightlifting now because they're doing well at the moment, or did you even recognize that? Or
well, there was a lot of variation. There was people doing a great variety of things, all basic stuff, nothing, no new exercises or something, but. I mean, yeah, that could very well be because definitely the Chinese do plenty of different variations of the lifts. It could be an Asian influence. I mean, I think it's always been true in weightlifting that people tend to copy whoever's doing the best, and I think that's a good observation. It's a good observation. Certainly wasn't hurting the performances.
Yeah, it just seemed a little different, and it's not like they're still doing snatches, but they would just do a little more powers than I'm used to seeing in the training hall 5 days before the meet. And I saw some of the Chinese doing like muscle snatches, but I don't know. They're probably just like getting off the plane doing that kind of thing. I don't think that's like a major staple in their training like some people do. But who knows? It just it seemed different. But also, I kind of may have noticed that because, like, I went to the Asian Championships a couple years ago in 2012, and it just seems like, compared to most European countries, they're doing different things. They keep the pools in there up to the competition. They're even doing doubles a couple days out. And I found that different than like when I go to Worlds and I see, well, even like Iran at the Asian Championships, they have a Bulgarian influence. They're only doing snatch, clean, jerk for singles. But then you take the Chinese and they might be doing doubles. And then they might do their pulls as well. So it just seemed like more of a workout.
Yeah. I have noticed before a couple different junior worlds that, you know, the Chinese basically are going through what seems to be a full, like, off-season workout right up until 2 days before the meet. Mm-hmm. They're not tapering the volume. They're doing lots of different exercises, high pulls, deadlifts, snatches, hang snatches, et cetera, right up to the couple days before the competition. So I've noticed that before with the Chinese, and I think that's pretty accurate. A little bit different, but then again, I think they do a higher volume workout normally, and so maybe for them that is a taper.
Yeah, sure. Obviously their training is going to be different than in other countries, and everybody trains differently. There's similarities in all of it, though. So there's world record squat. And did you see that? Do you even know that guy's name?
I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It was an Icelandic guy, I think. 475 kilos. Mm-hmm. That's freaking unreal. I mean, that is absolutely unreal because it wasn't a Southern Powerlifting Federation or whatever. It was the IPF, and so it was a legit squat. It was deep. It was single ply equipment. That's over 1,050 pounds. And it was a hell of a squat.
1,047 pounds.
1,047. Well, damn it, I'm close.
His name's Carl Christensen. I just looked up the video. That's the only reason why I know. Yeah, that's a big squat.
You see that guy's legs?
Yeah, I'm looking at the video right now. He's got a big barrel chest too, so.
I mean, but his legs are freaking ginormous.
Yeah, I wonder how tall that guy is. I mean, I can't even tell just because everyone spotting him is pretty big too.
Yeah, well, that's obviously a very, very, very. It was a high bar squat too.
Yep,
it was
like an
Olympic weightlifting style squat, high bar, chest upright, squatted down deep. That was a amazing performance.
Now, have you seen anything like that? I mean, you've seen Shane squat in person, but maybe not when he was pushing the squat.
I mean, I've seen Shane squat over 900 on a couple of occasions. Shane is just weird. Not in a bad way, in a good way. He's a short squat guy. He squats extremely fast. He goes all the way down, bounces it out of the hole. So he is quite atypical for a power lifter. Mm-hmm. That was more of a typical powerlifting squat, although it was an Olympic style squat. But I've heard, and I don't follow powerlifting as much now as I have before, but I've heard the high bar squat is gaining more and more favor in powerlifting, and like quite a few of the international elite powerlifters are using high bar now.
Why do you think that is? Do you think you can just like high bar back squat more often, or I mean, what influences that? Weightlifting getting more popular?
People that try to explain it just explain that it is more of a once you put equipment on and you get the big weights on your back, it's more of a disadvantage to get bent over. That keeping your chest up becomes more and more important. Thus the high bar. I really can't say that I know. There's certainly still plenty of elite powerlifters at low bar. So I think it might just be individual differences.
Well, Travis Mash always talks about he always high barred, and he's a pretty good squatter.
Yeah.
Did you high bar?
No. Okay. I definitely low bar when I powerlifted. And I have to say I was stronger low bar. I could not have squatted the same weights at that time had I been high barring. So, I've also heard explain, proportionally, if you're a short torsoed guy, that it's just so hard to get to depth if you low bar. I don't know. I wish it bears some thinking about, because evidently some people are definitely, stronger, at least in equipment, when they high bar.
Yeah, I've never worn a suit or knee wraps. I tried to wear knee wraps, but I think you have to get used to it.
Yeah, you definitely can't just put knee wraps on and come out and squat way more weight. It's something once you get used to it and are able to take advantage of it, you can squat more. But
yeah,
there's a learning curve.
It honestly just kind of like, I didn't even wrap them that tight, and it hurt. So I can't even imagine wrapping them that tight. But just considering I'm a weightlifter, I'm not really worried about wearing knee wraps. Maybe one day, if I have like 6 months before a meet, I'll kind of screw around with it for a couple months to see if I can just, squat something a little heavier. But
you have to be willing to put up with the pain because it does hurt.
What about a single ply suit? I mean, what does that feel like? I don't know anything about.
It's very tight, and if it's tight enough to do you a lot of good as far as weight, it too is going to hurt. So I don't think it's really worth messing around as a weightlifter with it because there's a learning curve. You've got to put your time in with the equipment, and oddly enough, when you get used to the equipment, you're usually weaker without it.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, what is it that makes it help you? I mean, just
it's so tight that it resists you going down. It's like you literally need weight on your back on the bar to push you into a squat position.
Interesting. I guess that's one of the things now. I used to coach Kulsum Abdullah, and she was the one who appealed the IWF to get the clothing rules changed. And one of the arguments against it was that they thought that someone might be able to develop some kind of suit that would allow you to keep flexibility, but at the same time gain some like buoyancy in the elbows as well as the hips. I thought it was kind of weird. I think they could easily make rules to avoid that situation, but you think that's possible?
I think it could open up a can of worms, especially in the elbows. I think anytime you get too tight around your hips and knees, it's going to resist you going under the bar, which could be as much of a disadvantage as easier to stand up would be an advantage. But especially for the elbows, it could potentially open up kind of a can of worms and require more rules to combat someone trying to get an advantage from it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you still got to keep the bar close in the snatch, and you still got to get the elbows through on the clean. But maybe somebody will come up with something, and they'll have to start making some rules against it. But that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be too bad if that happened. I think. I mean, we've seen what has happened in powerlifting with the supporting equipment, and it's a huge can of worms that I think really detracts from the sport, and I would hate to see that opened up in weightlifting.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me see. I don't think I have any questions today. Do you have any questions from anyone? Or?
No, I do not have any questions, but I have a sort of I don't know if you call it an announcement or not, but we are at the point where we definitely are looking for a few new lifters.
Okay.
So anybody that listens to this and might be interested, please contact me, email or Facebook. Email's glennpendlay@gmail.com, and you should be able to find me on Facebook. Now, is another tryout in store, or just kind of? Yeah, I think so. Point? I don't think, obviously not next week. It'll be after the American Open at some point, but definitely open to talking to people that are interested in being on the team and have some sort of a lifting resume before then. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. We have been telling people that Don got hired. So, I mean, I don't really have any special insight, so is there anything particular? I mean, obviously that's related to wanting to expand the team, given that we have another coach. Yeah, I mean, we definitely want to have more lifters than we have now, 6 months from now. But there's no real hurry. But definitely in the next couple of months, we are looking to invite some new lifters out. Yeah, no, that should be exciting. Everybody's kind of, right now, kind of had a recovery week. So then we're going to start hitting it hard, I guess. What's the plan? Hit it hard next week?
kind of test it a little bit.
Yeah, we should definitely be training pretty hard next week, and then we'll be coming up on the American Open, and a little tapering before the American Open, and then I actually, I'm looking forward to the American Open, but what I'm really looking forward to is having several months after the American Open where we don't have to peak for a meet, and we can just get some good long-term training in. We haven't had enough of that in the last 6 months. I mean, it's just been one meet after another, especially with you guys that have, gone to Pan Ams and
with me and James.
You guys have had meet after meet after meet. So.
I guess Morgan didn't have it too bad because she kind of lifted at Nationals and then Worlds. And, I mean, we had the local meet here, but other than that, I think that's it for her, right?
Yeah.
And me and James, we had the Arnold, Pan Ams, Nationals, Worlds, now the American Open. So it's a lot to do, and I'm excited to hopefully. I mean, I don't know. The competition is going to be tough. I know that my total from Worlds isn't going to hold up, so if I can up that enough to feel comfortable that I'll make the World team or at least Pan Ams, then I won't feel pressured to compete all the time next year. At least have a couple months off to get ready for the Arnold or Kevin Doherty's meet, whichever one we choose to go to.
Yeah, I mean that's I think the biggest goal really is not have to compete every single chance you get this year. We definitely need 3 months. We need a 3 month period, I think, to just train, and that would do wonders and allow you and James to hopefully actually make a little concrete progress again, without having to peak for a meet, rust up from a meet, peak for another meet, when it's really hard to make any lasting progress when you're doing that constantly.
Yep, that's really tough. I think James had it good. He right before Worlds, you had everybody on kind of a strength program for the American Open, and he wasn't really expecting to compete at Worlds because he was second alternate, and so he had a 4-week preparation strength cycle. I mean, they were still doing lifts, obviously, because we don't get too far away from lifts. But he was doing more deadlifts, pulls, those types of things. And I think it's kept him a little fresher. Whereas at this point, I'm taking it slow to the American Open because I'm just pretty beat up. But I have something pretty cool. I go this, since I moved here, one of my favorite places to go to is the Comedy Zone. My favorite thing to watch is stand-up comedy. And they sent out an email the other day, and they had a trivia question in it. They said if the first 4 people to email us the correct answer to this trivia question get 4 free tickets. So I won. So tonight I get to go to the comedy club for free.
Who are you taking?
Yeah, some of the people from the team, yeah. Sean, Becca, one of my other friends, and just kind of taking the single people out on the team because pretty much everyone else is married. So,
well, that sucks.
Well, I only had 4 tickets, so you can't invite 2 couples, and I thought it'd be more fun to invite the people who don't go out very much and just get us out there.
Well, that was nice of you, Travis.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was pretty cool.
Is anybody we know going to be performing?
Oh, man. I don't know. I did see Carlos Mencia at the Comedy Zone 2 weeks ago. He was absolutely hilarious. And let me see. So this guy, I don't think he's that well known, or they wouldn't be giving away tickets. I mean, they don't give away tickets to Carlos Mencia because he sells out, right? But this guy is called Sean Kent.
That's not a very funny name.
Yeah. But I mean, I've never gone to this place and been disappointed. I guess he has this new series called Modern Dads on A&E, which is, and he's performed on Comedy Central several times. So, I mean, he can't be that bad if he's somewhat popular. But anyways, I thought that was cool. I guess you didn't think it was as cool as I did.
Oh, it's cool. It's just nothing I can really comment on.
Well, you got anything else?
No, I don't have anything else whatsoever. I've got a cold. That's the only other thing I have.
Yeah. I'm still battling that. I'm finally getting over it a little bit. Training's coming around. I think Morgan and Dean got a little bit of that in Poland too, so I think we're finally getting over it a little bit. But anyways, if you have any questions, tweet us at WLiftingScoop. Email us at theweightliftingscoop@gmail.com, and we'll answer your questions on the next episode.